Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It is fuck o'clock here in Melbourne, Australia. It is 4 a.m. and I want to thank everyone for joining me. Give me a quick, let me see, chat. Give me a note. Hey, Russ, Sarah, I assume you guys can hear me okay. Sorry about the lighting. We're still getting that dialed in this mobile studio. I want to thank everyone for joining. I'm going to try to get right into it. Hopefully you guys had fun. Checked out the networking for those of you that hadn't done it yet. That's going to be a key component of the ShowUp trade show. We'll be using that for a bunch of different things, not only for social stuff, but in the education event in the part 2 of the day called the Learning Carousel. We'll be doing like a 2.5-hour deep learning program on a different subject each day, and we'll be using that for speed reflection. So that's, as we say in France, until the end of February. Happy 2021. Yeah, hopefully 2021 started out better than 2020 ended, but it was actually just one day. Pete Gustafson, thanks for joining. Allison, wow, great. Rachel, hi. From England, we got a crowd from all over the world, which is actually quite amazing. All right, so I'm going to get right into it to respect everybody's time. And time is a scarce commodity right now. And so what we're going to do today is I want to talk a little bit about how to be successful at ShowUp, any virtual event really, but specifically we're focused on ShowUp, which is coming up in 2 weeks. We're going to talk about how to use the platform a little bit. Everyone will get a one-on-one session next week, which we're going to schedule with you. My event exhibitor services team, Chris, Tasha, will be working one-on-ones with each of you in the system to make sure if you've got any questions, they're answered for you. But today is going to be about generally how do you use the platform, some of the features of the platform, which by the way, change all the time. In fact, I discovered a new one today about creating meetings, which is amazing. So I'll show you that one. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks. And I've got a document in the lobby that you can download. And I'll post a link to it here in the chat as well that has links to all the stuff that we're going to be talking about today as far as some tips, tricks, tools that you can use while you're exhibiting. And then if you have questions, we'll try to get to questions. And then once I'm done here, we'll move into the ShowUp info booth in the expo hall. And if you have follow-on questions or you want to go deeper into something, Chris and I will be in that booth and we'll take your questions there. And if you just want to go watch what other people's questions are, you're more than welcome to do that. So, all right, I'm going to get into it. We're going to start with, so one of the cool things is, so I'm right now moderating a session in the meeting rooms of the show. And on the left-hand side, you'll see that there are some different areas of the event. There's the lobby. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to share screen. And I'm going to share screen for the dress rehearsal, which is the event that you guys will be doing your one-on-ones in next week. So you can I can share a Miro whiteboard. Oh my God, they just did a new integration. So one of the things that's amazing about Hopin, so Hopin is the platform that we're using if you're not familiar with it. We've stumbled on it in April or May and have been using it ever since, but it's really blown up into, it's the fastest unicorn in history for those of you that don't know what a unicorn is. It's a private company with $1 billion valuation. They raised 150 million a couple of months ago, a month or so ago. And at $1 billion north valuation, and they just keep adding features, and it's crazy. And I just realized you can actually share a Miro whiteboard. So they just did an integration with Miro, which is really cool. For those of you that don't know Miro, check it out, Miro. It allows you to do remote collaboration with whiteboards and sticky notes and stuff like that from people, and it's got video integrated. It's an awesome tool. But we're not going to use that right now. What we're going to use is a plain old screen sharing to Chrome. Now, you can double click that window to make it bigger in case it's showing up side by side in your browser. And as you resize your browser, you'll notice things change layout. So speaking of browsers, you want to use Chrome as your primary. Do not use any other browser like Safari or whatever that new Edge browser is from Microsoft. As a backup, if you're having problems with Chrome, you can use Firefox. So those are the two browsers that are recommended for this: Chrome first, Firefox as a backup. Now I'm going to show you. So this is the lobby. We're going to go through the 5 areas of the ShowUp. Hopin's like a convention center, right? And so it's got these different areas. So the lobby is where you can go and you see the schedule will be there during the event. In fact, I think I can show you that in this live event. Am I in the live event? I should go to the live event too. Let me just copy, paste. And I'll show you where you see, at least you can kind of see. So this is what it looks like in a live event. Like right now you're in the exhibitor training, and the thing that happens now that's going on always show there, and it gives people an easier way to navigate it. And then we'll have tips and tricks, and the agenda will be here as well, the schedule. So people always know what's coming and what's going on. And then when they see the agenda, they can actually add this to their calendar from the agenda, which is kind of cool. So it makes it easy for people to bookmark things that they want to see. So that's the lobby. It's really simple. On the right, you can also see, this shows you all the attendees in the whole event. And we'll get into messaging attendees and finding attendees in a minute. Then there's the stage. The stage is where the general sessions will be. So there will be, in the education program, every hour, there'll be a key event, and that will be the showcase one, and that'll take place in the stage. And then in meeting rooms, that's where the breakout sessions are. So right now we're in a meeting room, which was for this exhibitor training, and there are multiple meeting rooms there. Then there is the speed networking, which hopefully you guys have all got a chance to experience. And if you didn't, I recommend just bop in there after we're done if you want to check it out. Basically, you'll be randomly matched with some other person in the event. And we set the timing. Right now it's set for 3 minutes per. During the event, we'll probably go a little bit longer. And you get to have one-on-one conversations with people. And then when you match with someone, there's a connection button. And if you both connect, think both swiping right on Tinder, in case you guys are familiar with that platform. Then you get to share information with each other, and it's really cool. And I'm going to show you in a minute where you go to find your connections in the platform. So that's the speed networking. And then the expo hall is where all of the booths are. Now we're setting up the booths now. Kylie and her team are setting up all the booths. We still need to put in all the background images. But that's where people can go and actually meet with you one-on-one or as a group in the expo hall. So those are the 5 main sections of the Hopin Convention Center. And so now what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about this communications panel on the right-hand side. And so this is where, this is a really cool feature, and they make it really easy to find people. And I think I'm actually going to try to do this in our existing demo. Let me see if I can do this in the live demo. So this is the event that we're in right now. And I can go in and I can search. First of all, there's a filter, okay? And so I can filter by my connections. So let's see if any of my connections are here. Oh, there they are. There's Andre. Hey, Andre. Thanks for joining, man. I can search by speakers. In this one, there's no speakers, or I can search by organizers. So if you're having a problem, you can just look for organizers and get to them right away. You can also search for someone. So let's say I want to look for Pete Gustafson. I type in Pete, and Pete's going to show up, and I can click on him, and then I can send Pete a direct message. And so it's really easy to find the people that you want to connect with. And hopefully Pete will get that message. And when he does, there's going to be a little indicator up here on his notifications. And that takes you to all of your direct messages. And you should get a chime also. So that's kind of, that's one of the cool things about this communication message. Now, if you want to send in the overall chat, so here's the, oh, there he goes. Hey, Bob. And you see my little indicator lit up, this little thing, and I can go to that and I see, oh, Kylie just sent me a message too. And so I can see my message stream here. So keep an eye on that little airplane, paper airplane, because that's where your messages show up. And you'll hear a little pop as an audible notification that you have a message. And messaging is really important. One of the things we've seen in statistics is that, you know, some people like to be on screen and do video. A lot of people like to message you and use chat, and it's going to be a really key to event success for you. And so, where am I? I'm just sorry. I've got a lot of different browser windows open, and I want to make sure I'm in the right event. We are in exhibitor training. Oh, I know why. We're in the main chat. All this chat's going on in the meeting room. And so now if I go in there, and there we go. Now you guys can see the chat, and I can share that. And I might get some feedback here. So I'm gonna mute all this shit. There we go. I muted everybody, including my. So one of the things I can do is I can send an @ message in the chat. So if you start with @ and I'll type in Andre, and then all the Andres show up, and I click that and I say, hey, Dre, then he'll get a notification that he's been tagged in a chat. And so those are some of the ways that you can tricks in navigating the communications window over on the right as far as the chat and finding attendees. So you have direct messages, you have @ messages in chat, and you see Andre then went back and tagged me and said, Bob! So those are some of the tips and tricks around using the communications panel. Anybody have any questions about that? Drop them in the chat, and I will, and I'll try to address them here really quickly before we move on to the next thing. There we go. Fana just tagged Eldad, who's might be cruising around somewhere in Europe in a camper van, making me insanely jealous. So the other thing that's really cool in this communications panel, and this is one of the key features of Hopin, is the ability to do private video calls. And so you'll notice down here at the bottom, there's this button, orange button that says schedule a meeting. That's actually a new feature. I just discovered it this morning when I logged in. I swear it wasn't there yesterday, though it might have been because it only shows up when an event is live. And so what you can do now, there's a couple of things you can do. Let's say I want to have a private video meeting with, let's see, if Chris is here, he's in this event. And I'm going to click invite to video call. And what that'll do is that's going to invite him to this link here. So at the very bottom it says, hi, Chris, I'm inviting you to a private meeting. And it's really important. We both have to click on that link to get to the private meeting room. And so I'm going to click on that link, and it's going to take me to a one-on-one meeting. At the top left, you hear it says Chris and Bob. And then if I click share audio and video, it's going to pull up this panel. Now, some of you might have seen this when you logged in, but this is how you set your audio and video settings. It's just like Zoom or any other platform that you've probably used. You can select your microphone, you can select your camera, and then you click apply. And there's Chris. Hey, Chris. How you doing? I can hear you. Awesome. You got it. Looks good, man. Crystal clear. Looking sharp with the Corona beard. Anyway, all right. Bye. So that's how the private meetings work. They're really simple, and you just make sure that you have to both connect on this thing. Now, the other thing that's really cool, I'm going to point out another little tip. You see this little back arrow? Like I clicked on attendees and it left me here with Chris. There's a little back arrow here. It's kind of hard to see. I'm trying to circle it with my cursor, but you have to click on that to get back to everybody. Now, this schedule a meeting button is new. It's really cool. So if you go to attendees and you click that, it's going to pop up a window and you can actually schedule a meeting in advance, and you can invite up to 4 other people. And so I can invite Evo, who, by the way, if you're on the official speaking agenda, you'll meet Evo this week as she's doing some speaker training for us. She's our technical producer of the event, and she is amazing. And we'll invite Chris, and we'll get the whole team in here. I'm not sure they're all going to want to come on screen, but that's fine. I don't think we have to actually come on screen. And then one of the features we've talked about, if you've got a virtual island booth, which is the big booth, where we're going to set up multiple rooms for you. And the main booth becomes kind of like the reception area where you can welcome people in. And you can have a receptionist like you would at a real trade show who actually moves people into meeting rooms. And so if you have a receptionist running your booth, that person can actually exclude themselves from this meeting. And then they can select up to 5 people to go in that meeting and schedule it. And so when you have the big booth, just like a real trade show, if you want to have meetings and you want to schedule people and things, once they're in the event, you can schedule these little meetings and you can click send an invitation. And it's an invalid start time because I guess it's maybe too close. So let's try that one. I've never done this before. I'm doing it live for the first time. Oh, that's because this event isn't live yet. So let's try that. It's within the window of the event. There we go. Now, hopefully I got a notification of an invitation. And I'm not sure where that's going to show up. So we're going to have to do some research. Actually, let me try to do it in the live event right now. And let's go to attendees. And let's schedule a meeting. And let's try to do it here. And hit send invitation. Okay, so somewhere at some point, hopefully I'll get a notification that I have a meeting. And we'll dig in a little bit deeper if we can't figure out how that works, and we'll cover it in the one-on-ones.
It comes into my notification.
Oh, it came into your notification. Oh, there it is, notification. So you see the little bell up here in the top right. Click on that, and Kylie accepted my meeting invite, and there's a button there that says enter meeting room. And so there you go. You can schedule meetings in advance during the event, which is way freaking cool. So thank you, Hopin, for continuing to make this an amazing platform. All right, so that's video calls and private meetings and notifications. We've covered that. We're rolling. We've talked a little bit about speed networking already, so I'm going to blast through that. So when you're in speed networking, one of the things you get to do, I've said, is you get to double opt into connections. And I want to show you guys where to find those because it's actually quite important, but it's a little buried. So you see my picture up here. Make sure, by the way, you do set up your profile completely with a photo, because you'll see how you show up in chat under attendees when you actually have a real photo. Let's see, I think we're over here. Sorry, jumping around a lot, versus just a logo. It's a lot easier to connect with people, and people are more likely to connect with you if they see your photo. And so if you go over here and you click down under edit profile, it'll pull up your profile and you can upload your avatar. You can put in your LinkedIn profile, your website profile, and your headline. But if you go into your account, you can actually get more control over what you put in there. And so under account, it shows you your upcoming events. Over here, if you click on profile, you can put a bio. You can have your Twitter link as well as your LinkedIn. And then here under connections, it shows you all of the people that you've connected to, and you can send them an email just by clicking on the envelope, or you can go to their LinkedIn page, their website, or their LinkedIn page if they filled out the profile. So it's really important for you to fill out your profile so people who've connected with you can go back in and find you. All right. So anyway, that's where you find all your connections, is under your account where your picture is. All right. Let's see what's next. Oh, okay. So now we're going to go into booths. This is all right, we're going in the big part now. So one of the things, so everybody's got a booth, I assume, if you're here as an exhibitor in the training session. And again, we're going to be building these out. And when you go in a booth, I'm going to go into the ShowUp booth. And this is our info booth, where during the event, if you have any problems at all, just pop into the info booth. We'll have people there staffed, ready to help you answer any questions. And so one of the things that's about the booth, I'm going to walk you through the features of it. So the first thing here is an offer. And so this is something you kind of want to set up in advance. So I want you guys thinking about what your show special is going to be, right? Because, and we'll talk about in pre-show promotion, how do you get people to engage and come to the show? You want to have a show special. We want to promote your show specials. So think about what your show special is going to be, because it's a trade show and you wouldn't do a trade show without a show special, and make it really powerful. Let's get, I realize that, I put a poll up and I've asked people, when you think people are going to be buying, and so far 14%, actually one person says the first half of 2021. That was me. I hit that button by mistake. Most people feel it's going to be the second half of 2021 or 2022. Regardless, make your show special then that goes into through Q3. So at least you can register interest and you know who they are, so you can be following up with them. And so what we'll do is we'll put the show special here, and then and if people are interested in the show special, so instead of we can help, it'll have your special, and then they click that button, and what it's going to do is it's going to send you an email with their information saying they've claimed the show special. Now, the other thing that button can do is it can actually link, instead of registering an interest and giving you an email, it can link to a landing page. We call this the virtual brochure rack, because what you can do is you can actually create a dedicated landing page for ShowUp for the event. And you can have whatever media you want there. You can have brochure downloads, you can have videos, and you can have a capture interest form with just an email saying, drop your email here to get our show special. And you can have all of that on a landing page. If you want to put a little bit more effort into it, highly recommended. And that landing page becomes your virtual brochure rack. And we can even call this, check out our virtual brochure rack, and they click the button and it'll launch that in a new window. And then if you're smart, which you are because you're exhibiting at ShowUp, you will put a cookie and a pixel on that landing page. And then you can do retargeting after the show to everybody that went to your landing page. So if that offer is powerful enough to get people to click, you register their interest, and then your after show marketing is all about retargeting. And what retargeting is, or remarketing, it's called one or two things. You can Google it. There's a million videos out there. But you know how you go to a website and then you go to Facebook or go to YouTube or you go to Google and you keep seeing these ads follow you everywhere? It's really effective and it's really cost effective. And so think about setting up a virtual brochure rack with some media and a really good offer where people will drop in their emails. But even if they don't drop in their email, if they went to your web page, you drop a cookie or a pixel on their computer, and you'll be able to retarget them after the show. Yeah, there we go. Now, when you're in the booth, you want to be watching the chat. Kylie wants to get my attention.
if you want to demo this, you need to jump into the other one.
Give me another, what other one?
The demo from the 19th.
The exhibitor demo for, oh, the exhibitor training. Yeah, cool. Well, let's go to a booth. And so Kylie's going to come into the booth and somebody's going to come into the booth.
The demo.
All right, they're all called demos. You're not helping me.
Okay, demo 19 to 22. I thought you opened it.
There we go, 19 to 22. There we go. And I'm going to go in the ShowUp booth. And then I'm going to go to the chat. Now, when you monitor the chat, you can see, oh, it said Kylie Savage just entered the booth. And then I can go in here and I can say, hey, Kylie. So it gives you a notification. See, it says enter the session. And I can send her a direct message or I can chat. And if I go over here to attendees, it's going to show me with that little green button. That little green light means that person is actually in my booth right now. So this is all about engagement, right? But you have to create the engagement. We're going to give you all the tools you need to know who's in your booth, when they're in the booth, when they come, but you actually have to engage them. So, and then what you can do is you can invite them onto the screen, right? So if I'm going to be on the screen, obviously, when I'm doing my booth. And so I'm going to be up here and I'm going to be talking to my audience. And I'm going to say, hey, Kylie, thanks for joining the booth. Do you have any questions? You can either drop them in chat or if you want, hit the orange button at the top of your screen and I can bring you on screen and we can talk about it. Now, one of the cool things, what?
We're going to get terrible feedback.
Yeah, that's right. Just mute yourself. Now, one of the cool things about this too is you can see in the top right-hand corner here, you see this says 1 of 10. That means there's 1 of 10 people on screen at once. You can have 10 people in the booth at one time on screen. But it also shows you how many people are watching. So right now, I know there's 2 people in my booth. It's me and Kylie. But if somebody else pops in and I'm not paying attention, I see that go to 3. I know to go from chat over to attendees, and I can see who that is, and then I can address them with video, right? So it's just like somebody walks into your booth, right? You make eye contact with them. You might be engaged in a conversation with somebody, but you see them coming in and you might make eye contact with them in the chat and say, hey, Kylie, or you might just say, hey, give me a second, Joe. Kylie, I see you're here. I'll be with you in a second. In the meantime, watch this conversation because we might answer some of your questions in my conversation with Joe. So I call that lurk and learn. People like to lurk in the trade show booth, just like you would a real booth, and listen over the shoulder of an existing conversation because you learn a lot from other people's questions that you might not think to ask yourself. And so can you request to come on screen? Oh, there's a little hand thing there. What's that? Oh, there's a little applause thing there. That's new too. So you can give people applause when you're watching their thing. Do you guys see the little applause button? Give me some applause. I want applause. Love applause. My ego likes applause. You are not coming into the screen. I'm not seeing you show up.
It says waiting for approval.
Oh, maybe I'm not set up as a moderator. I didn't set myself up
I set you up.
in this booth. Yeah.
An organizer.
Anyway, we'll come back to that. What'll happen, and I think I can show it to you here. Let me go back to the session in the right event. Here we go. So at the very bottom of this screen, you're going to see my moderator panel. You see this down here? There we go. And at the bottom, you're going to see the moderator panel. So these are all the people in here. So when somebody comes into the booth and they get this share audio and video button and they click that, it's going to pop up here. And then you can bring them on screen just by clicking it. It's really, really easy. Let me see. Is there anybody want to come up on screen now? Are you in? Let's see. let's get Russ is always up for coming on screen. Let's see what Russ is up to. Let's see if I can get Russ. There he is. Hey, Russ.
Hey, good, sir. How you doing, brother, man?
How you doing?
If I was any better, I'd be a twin.
It's good to see you. So you are a twin. You're up on screen like 3 times.
That's
You're
right.
a triplet.
We just broke the time space continuum with that.
We did. Marty! So anyway, that's how moderation works. It's really easy. We do want to make sure that you're set up as a moderator in your booth. That's really critical. And our exhibitor services team will make sure that happens. And then when you want to dump somebody, Russ, don't take this personally. It's just a demo. There are a couple of controls you have. So I can mute his audio just by clicking on this little button here. And now you can't hear Russ. I can also mute his mic for everyone too. All right. So then people can't, I muted the mic. And so if somebody's being a bit unruly, and then he can unmute it himself. Go ahead and unmute that. I think that's how that works. Yeah. So you can mute everyone's mics and then they have to mute us. If you get a bunch of people in there at once talking, you hit that button, it quiets everyone down. And then you can say, hey, so-and-so, go ahead and unmute your mic. And then we can come back and continue the conversation because you get a lot of people on screen. If you've been in an unruly Zoom call, you'll know what that's like.
Yeah. And I will say, so we've started using this platform as well, Bob, just because of your recommendations with it. And the one thing that I will say to other folks that have exhibited and done stuff on this platform is make sure that you have, literature links posted into your booth. So that way you can share those, like build that stuff out just like you would a regular trade show of like having those assets, those resources, those video links. Because even if they come into your booth while you're doing something else or have a meeting and things, like there's still plenty that can keep them engaged. And so all of this is a really direct parallel to what you would do in a booth. And it's just kind of wrapping your head around flattening that into a screen. But it's all there for you.
And that's the thing I want to emphasize. I've talked to a lot of people that exhibited at some of the early shows as everyone was learning virtual stuff this year or last year. And everyone's complained about not getting a return on investment. And I think there's 2 things. There's a return on investment, but there's a return on effort. And I've talked to a lot of exhibitors and no one put in the amount of effort into a virtual event that they did into a live event. And so I think what happened is it's not as much of an investment. So you tend not to take it as seriously and then you don't put in as much effort. And what I'd love to see, and I know we're only 2 weeks out, and so it's a bit of a scramble, but I would love to see everybody put in the effort, put in the work. We're here to support you. We want to help you. We'll do everything we can in the number of hours that we have left to support you guys here. But if you put in the effort, I think you're going to see that the return is there. And these live events are not coming back this year. I'm just going to tell you, if we're lucky, we'll get to IAPA, and if we do, it'll be a third the size that it normally is. And we'll still have to have some kind of a virtual component into it. So if we want to sell this year, we got to learn this shit. And so use this, if nothing else, as a learning experience. Thank you, Russ. And then what you want to do is you can just click this little minus button and poof, Russ disappears. And so that's basically how you moderate within your booth. It's really simple. It gives you all the controls that you need, and and that's moderating. Let's see, where are we? Meeting rooms, chat. What's the difference between? So Gary has a question. What's the difference between invite to video versus schedule meeting? So invite to video is a one-on-one call, but actually, really good question, Gary. You can also, that link. So when I go over here to my call with Kylie and it said,
with Chris.
Was it Chris? It was in a different event. I have so many events open right now, so I can demo this stuff for you. Excuse me. And so I'll just, it's in this one. There we go. So at the bottom here, he says, Chris, I'm inviting you to a private meeting room. If I right click that, and I click copy link address when I right click it, I can actually go and send that same link to somebody else and invite them to the same meeting room. And so if they click on that, they'll join the meeting with me and with Chris. And so you can, if you don't want to use the schedule meeting button, you can manually work around that and send multiple people the same link. But as you saw, it's a bit kludgy, right? You got to go find the link, you got to copy the link, you got to find the person, you got to post it in. And so what I think Hopin has done to make that easier is they've created this schedule a meeting button, which allows you to invite people really easy by just searching for them. And so, and you can schedule a meeting with just one person. Like I can schedule a meeting with just Kylie, and it automatically defaults to the next 15-minute time slot. And so it gives you, and the nice thing about that is it gives you a little bit of time in which to get, for them to get the message, respond to it, and get to the meeting. Now, if you're in your booth and you want to send people to meetings really quickly, the private meeting thing might actually be faster. But if you want to schedule something a little bit in advance, I think the schedule a meeting button is actually way easier to use now that I've seen it. And you can use that for one person up to a total of 5 people in a private meeting room. All right, cool. Let's roll on. Let's talk a little bit about cameras and technology. And so camera placement's really important if you're setting up your booth. You want to make sure that you're a little bit elevated and kind of have the camera up. People don't want to be looking up your nose like the webcam on your laptop. You can get a good webcam for $100. So invest, most laptops don't have great webcams, and you can't really adjust where they are. So you can get a $29 tripod and a $100 webcam, and it gives you a lot more control over where you place it. The Logitech C222, I think, is the one that I'm using. It's pretty standard, but any Logitech webcam is going to do you great service. If you want to go higher end and invest in some DSLR stuff, message me privately. I'll send you that information offline. Microphones are critical. Invest in a good mic. I use this little blue Yeti microphone. It's about $150. There are cheaper ones out there, but get a good condenser mic. It's really critical. Nobody wants to listen to tinny audio. It's actually more important than the camera if you're going to be on screen. So camera, microphone, and then lighting and background. Make sure you think about what's in your background and you've got good lighting. I have shit lighting right now. I apologize. I promise you I will have good lighting during the event. And you need a lot, like you'll be shocked at how bright the lights need to be. And so especially if you're showcasing product, because you want your product to be vibrant, you want the colors to show up. And so it's really important to have good lighting. Also, if you're going to be doing this, have a big monitor, or 2 monitors, even better, because you're going to want to have multiple browsers open. You've seen how I've got 2 browsers going. I have 5 different browser windows. So one of the things you can do is you can have your booth open in one browser window, and you can actually be watching the general sessions and the panels in another browser window, right? Exhibitors are always chained to their booth. You don't get to see the cool educational programs. We've invested a lot in this education program. And we'd love to see you guys show up for that as well. And so you're going to want a big monitor so you can have lots of different distribution, lots of different things going on. And if you want to invite somebody to a private, you get some better lighting coming in. Some private meetings going, and you want to have your booth chat open, and you want to have the general session open. And so you're going to want to do that.
Look in the chat.
Look in the chat. Can we stream content via tools like OBS? So I'm going to leave that video booth. Yes. So OBS, we're going to talk about virtual cameras in a second. So I'm going to come back to that if that's okay. Emmanuel, actually, because before we get to that, actually, let's do with that. Then we'll talk about mobile webcams. Hopefully Chris is ready to do our mobile webcam demo. So what can you do RTMP streams in a booth? I don't think you can. So unfortunately, right now, the way you'd need to use OBS or any other third-party streaming system is through screen sharing and a virtual camera. And so let's talk a minute about virtual cams. And I'll see if I can demo that here. Where am I? This is the exhibitor training. So if I go over here and I click share audio and video, it gives me this little drop down to select my camera. Now, what a virtual cam is a piece of software that looks like a webcam to your computer. Now, the one that I've used with great success is called ManyCam. And the link to ManyCam, including all the other stuff that we're talking about today, is in that document on the homepage, which hopefully Kylie, in the reception area, the lobby, and hopefully Kylie can go grab that link and paste it in the chat in here as well. It's in the lobby. The Dropbox link in the lobby, if you can post that in the chat for people just to make it convenient. And so what you would do is if you were streaming from OBS or ManyCam or StreamYard or any other system that gives you a little bit more production control, you want to have that as an output as a virtual camera. And then what you do is you would log in to Hopin and you would select the virtual camera as your camera here in this drop-down menu. And then whatever shows up on screen is going to be coming from your production suite. OBS, StreamYard, what's the one we use? Ecamm Live. There's a bunch of them. And so, so that's my answer regarding OBS, and it normally would be RTMP screens, because you can't do RTMP, but you can do virtual camera. The other thing you can do from your booth is screen share. As you can see, I am screen sharing right now. And so you can, if you want to go low tech, you can just have a webcam on your laptop and you can screen share that webcam as a window in your booth. And so you can screen share a PowerPoint, you can screen share whatever you want. I'm going to kind of show you. Let's see if it'll let me screen share here. I am screen sharing. So I'm going to end screen share. And I'm going to try to do this somewhere else. Dun, dun, dun. Expo Hall. All right. All right, so I'm in a booth now, and I'm showing you, and what I can do is this little button down here is the screen sharing button. And so as you can see, I can select when I'm in a booth. Oh, there's Chris. Hey, Chris. When I'm in a booth, I can either share screen or I can share a Miro whiteboard. Cool. Not going to get into that right now because I'm not sure how important it is for an expo booth. But if I click share screen, it pulls up this window, which it isn't showing. So let me try to do this again because I want you to see this window. It's really important. And I'm going to try to share this particular window. I might have to do my whole. There it is. And so this is the window you get when you select share screen. And you got a bunch of options here. These are really important. So you can share your entire screen. Now I've got two monitors. So this is monitor 1 that you're looking at. This is monitor 2, which is my laptop where I've got my notes, right? Then you can share application windows. And so I can share the Google window, which is what I've been doing. So you can see all the different screens. I can share my tips and my tips and links document, which Kylie just posted in the chat. Make sure you download that and keep it. And I can share any application that's running on my computer. So if you have PowerPoint, if you have Keynote, if you have a PDF that you want to work through, if you want to do a presentation in something like Prezi, Prezi, which I should add to that document. It's awesome, and it gives like real-time motion graphics to be able to do presentations. You just select application window and you select that application, and that's what's going to be shared. And then lastly, and this one's really important if you're sharing something with audio, is you can share a Chrome tab. And so that's what this will show Chrome, and it'll show all the tabs that I'm running in Chrome. And if you want to share something with audio, you need to click the Share Audio button, checkbox in the Chrome tab, and that will allow you to share the audio. And so that's how you do screen sharing from within your booth. And don't forget the Share Audio button, really important. Let's see, Mark Lenski, what's the best way to manage attendees' needs and demos when you have multiple salespeople available in the booth? Are we all hanging in the same place, or can we be each doing different things? It's a really good question, Mark. I'm going to come to that in a second. Anyway, so that is how you do screen sharing within the booth. The other thing I want to talk about in the booth is, and I'm going to go back and again, share another screen. Window is this thing called toggle on and off presentation mode. So when you leave your booth, you don't want to leave it empty. And so this button up here, which says toggle to turn on presentation mode, you can have an out of office video or an out of booth video. And if you click on that, it's going to bring that video up. So anybody that comes into your booth can actually just watch a video. So that could be your, like normally if you were doing a trade show, you'd have a video up with a reel going so people could watch that while they're waiting. This is a great place to repurpose that video. So when you're not there, because keep in mind, this event is open for 3 days, 24 hours. And because of global time zones, people might pop in to see what's going on when you're not actually in your booth, because you're obviously not going to be in there for 24 hours for 3 days straight. And so make sure you keep an eye out and get that out of booth video set up. And anytime you leave your booth unattended, you want to click that button. And then when you come back, and then you can share your audio and video again, and you're back in business. And then Chris, if you're there, go ahead and jump back in. So this is a good time to address Mark's question. What's the best way to manage attendee needs and demos when you have multiple salespeople available in the booth? So if you have a virtual island, right, we're actually going to set up multiple rooms for you. And the way we recommend you do that is the main booth becomes your reception desk, right? And so you have somebody there who's greeting people just like you would at a trade show booth. And somebody comes up and says, hey, I want to meet Mark. I want to meet Dave. I want to meet Chris. I want to meet Bob. Are they here? And then that person uses the meeting button, schedule a meeting button, and can push those people into meetings, right? And they can do it a couple of ways. They can either use the schedule meeting button, or just using the attendee chat, they can go in here and search for people and say, at Bob, meeting coming, as a heading with Joe, boom, I'm going to get that. And then they're going to go in here to attendees, event attendees. So you can search, and they're going to look for me, and they're going to set a private meeting. Oh, I'm in the wrong, I'm looking at the wrong screen. Sorry, too many browsers open. Let's do it over here so you can actually see it. And they're gonna go ahead and find that person, invite to a video call, and then you can just copy that link and then paste it in direct messages to anyone that's there if you don't want to use the invite to meeting button. And so the receptionist, whoever that is, will need to become really nimble at managing inviting people to meetings and pushing them into meeting rooms. Now, one of the cool things about the virtual island is we're going to give you 2 perpetual meeting rooms, and we're going to give you those links in advance. And so what your receptionist should do is have a cheat sheet with links to those meeting rooms. And then what they do is when you come in the chat, they're just going to be able to go copy the link, paste it into the chat to those people in a private message, and that meeting room goes in there. And so depending on how many meetings you have scheduled, it could become a bit frantic, kind of like a trade show, right? Where you're all fighting over meeting space. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, which is in that document, is you can set meetings up before the event. Now, the schedule meeting feature only works. Johnny sent me a chat saying he'd like to join the training. I assume he's already in here. And he's just playing around, but can you check Johnny and see if he's got any issues getting in, knows where we are. And so one of the things about setting meetings, you want to set them in advance. And so what you can do is go to Calendly, and then there's another one. And again, these links are in that document that I created for you guys. But I use Calendly all the time. There's a whole bunch of calendar scheduling programs. And you can start scheduling meetings now. And what's going to happen is we're going to give you the link, the direct link to your booth, right, in advance. And that's why Kylie's been building the booths now. So this week, we're going to give you the link to your booth, the URL. And you can put that in your meeting program. So when somebody books a meeting, instead of a Zoom link, they're going to get the link to your hop-in booth. And then during the event, on their calendar program, whatever they use, Outlook or Google or whatever, the meeting is going to pop up. And if they click on that link, it's going to take them right to your booth, provided they're registered for the event. If they're not registered for the event, they'll have to click in, log in, and then it will remember that and it will take them to the booth. So so you guys should be starting to schedule meetings for ShowUp tomorrow, and get in a calendar system, create your availability calendars for your different employees. We will email out your direct links in the next day or so for your booth, and you can start setting those meetings now, just like you would for a real trade show, 2 weeks in advance. And because the show is pay what you want, you can send people a registration link to showup.events, and they can log in, they can pay what they want, and there's no barrier to people coming to the event and meeting with you. So I hope that answered your question, Mark. And again, we're going to go through this in way more detail in the one-on-ones with you, and you'll actually be able to experiment with this stuff because there's nothing like hands-on to be able to learn this. So I'm giving you an overview, but the detailed training is going to come in the one-on-ones. Chris, you're there. I can hear you. How are you? Can everybody else hear Chris? Drop me a quick chat message. I don't know if you guys can hear him. Julian saying, when we use a virtual camera with live sessions, one account will be used for that and will not be available for the meeting. There is no booth account. Julian, you can create as many, we can create multiple logins for you. If you need a separate login for your virtual camera, I think that's fine. In fact, you can log into the event. You can have multiple windows open with your login in the same event. Right now, I've got 5 different tabs open, all under my login. So you can have one login that uses your virtual camera and one that uses your webcam or whatever else you want. And so you don't need a separate account. You can do it under whatever login you're using. And they say no audio for Chris. So let's figure out how to do that. They cannot hear you, Chris. That's because I'm doing a screen share and I'm not using, hold on, that's right, I know how to fix this. I've already shown people how to do this, right? So I go to screen share and I go to Chrome tab and I go to show up information booth, share audio.
I'm in the same room as Bob, so I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah, that's not working. All right, say something, Chris.
Hello, can you hear me now? Testing.
Yeah,
1,
twice.
2,
Let me
3.
mute this. If I mute you, you're not going to be able to hear you. How do I do this? There's a little bit of an echo. Say it.
Yeah. I'm in the warehouse from that live remote, so it might be a little echo from the warehouse.
Can you guys hear Chris okay? Yeah, they can hear Chris now. Good. I think the echo just might be on my side because I've got you coming in on 2 different browser windows. And so do you want to show your mobile cam setup?
Yeah, great. So what we've set up here today is I took my personal phone, which is a Google Pixel 2, and I turned it into a wireless webcam. There's been some conversations in the last few weeks of how to, if I have a product, some of our exhibitors have product and they would like to show that over video, what's the best way to do that? So I'm gonna show my iPad right now is essentially my product, and then I'm using a gimbal this is the gimbal for the product that I'm using. And then I'm just gonna walk around and kind of show you zooming in and out the best way to do it. Now, I do recommend, as you can see, I have a backdrop behind me. It's just a step and repeat backdrop. Most of the exhibitor sponsors that we have with this event probably have a banner stand or a pop-up sitting in their warehouse. I'd recommend going to the warehouse, grabbing it, and setting that up behind your product or even in your home office, wherever you're doing demonstrations from. That would be the best way to utilize that and get your brand across. So right now, let me jump in and I'll demo the platform.
Now, what's happening is we're going to show you also, there's some links to that document on where you can get the software to make this work. So the gimbal is a great way to smooth out your video so you're not doing jerky video. You can see that as Chris is walking around, it'll give you a nice, smooth, steady cam. But then you need software to connect your phone video so it shows up as a virtual camera like I told you about, right? And so there are a couple of pieces of software. There's one works really well for iOS into a Mac. One works into a PC. The links for both of those are in this document that we've posted. I use one called Epoch Cam, works really well. There's another one called Android Cam, I think. And there's a bunch of other ones you can Google around there, but those are the 2 that I would recommend starting with. And then what happens is your phone becomes a webcam. And you can walk around your showroom and you can actually showcase your products in a way that looks really professional. And so I highly recommend that DJI Osmo. Chris got the 4, which is a couple $100. You can actually get the 3. It works fine. It's $127 or $140 on Amazon right now. You can order it now and get it in 2 days. And it works. It's really stable. It works really well. And then, as I said that, of course, Chris's video locked up. So anyway, that's mobile webcam. So if you're going to be showcasing products or multiple products from a showroom, that's we recommend that you do that. And what you can do is actually, then you have 2 setups. You have your normal webcam where you're talking to people in the booth like this. And then you have your mobile webcam and somebody can be operating that as a separate video stream, right? As a separate participant in the booth. And so you'd have side-by-side screens, or they stack top and bottom like this one is, and one's the showroom and one's the person talking, because you can have up to 10 people on screen at once, right? And so anyway, that's another tip and trick, pro tip. And again, we'll work through with you. You guys have questions about how to make that work. We'll work with you one-on-one. Just drop us an email to exhibitor@showup.events, or to Bob or to Chris at showup.events, and we'll kind of help work it with you. So, all right, let's see. I'm gonna see if I stop sharing. All right, there we go. So that was so multiple browser windows we've talked about, a list of cheat sheet links. If you have your perpetual meeting rooms, if you have that you set up, You want to have those as a link on your desktop that you can share with people in a document. We've already talked about cam and mic settings, how to invite people up on screen through the moderator panel at the bottom. You can chat with them. If they want to come on screen, remind them to click the orange button at the top that says share audio and video, because that's what they have to do to be able to come on screen with you and have a conversation. So you want to constantly remind people as the host of your booth to engage. You have to constantly remind them to engage. Say, hey, I'd love to, Joe, I'd love to see you in the booth. Come on, let's have a chat, and encourage people. Not everybody's going to want to come up, so you want to give them a safe space to say no. Don't make them feel pressured. Say, so remind, not everybody wants to come on screen, but if you want to come on screen, go ahead and do it. Watch who's watching. Right? Watch who's watching, watch who your attendees are in the booth, and make sure you engage with them by name, just like you would. You're going to look at their badge in a real trade show booth, and you're going to say, hey, Bob, what do you do? Or who are you? Right? So you get all that information coming to you. Make sure you use it just like a real trade show. So I want to talk, any more questions about the platform itself? Because I want to talk a little bit about strategy. And I'm sorry this is going so long, but I can't help myself because there's so much to show and to talk about. And so, we've created, we've done a bunch of these events, and we've really been thinking about how to get people to engage and why engagement is really important. And Firestone did a great survey of operators in the industry that said that 65% of people plan to purchase equipment over the next 12 months. And 45% said their budgets actually increased or stayed the same since the beginning of 2020. And so there are people out there buying. Now, what they're buying might be different, and their purchase criteria might be different, but people are buying things. And I know there's a narrative that nobody's buying anything. I think fewer people are buying less stuff, but people are buying, and you need to be engaged with them. And this is key. 69% of operators said trade shows are part of the purchasing process, right? And so we need to figure out how to engage with them so we can get them to buy now, or we can get them buy when they're ready. And I'm going to fly through this really quickly. I'm going to drop a link to this in the chat if you want to. It's on our website. You can kind of look at it and get some of those statistics more. But I want to kind of scroll down to this important part, which is the 5 keys to success when exhibiting at virtual events. And this is something that we've learned from doing dozens of these events, small ones, medium-sized ones, and then ultimately in the social crawl. There's 5 things you need to do to be successful. Number 1 is you need to have swag. Like at a real trade show, you would have swag. Our version, the virtual version of that is entertainment and giveaways, right? So we ran the social crawl. We had all of these amazing exhibitors do all these creative things like game shows and giveaways and trivia contests and emoji karaoke, or host a happy hour where there was a moderator and people were coming in and talking. And so having entertainment and giveaways in your booth is actually a key strategy to get people to come to your booth, and you promote that before and during the show. We'll help you promote it in the chat if you're doing something cool. If it's really cool, we'll promote it in the agenda and make sure that people see that it's live and they know to look for it, right? Because we want to help drive traffic. It's your responsibility to drive traffic to your booth. We're going to give you the tools to do it, but it's your responsibility to do it and to help people come to the show. I can't own that myself. That's a group effort. And so that's number 1, is think about swag. What's swag in a show? It's entertainment and giveaways. The other place I want to encourage you to think about giveaways is in networking. So speed networking is really cool. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up networking times, and we can say, hey, if you meet, these exhibitors are giving away prizes. If you meet with them if you're an attendee and you're not another exhibitor, and I think we can control that. Are we going to have exhibitor badges? We'll have exhibitor badges to make sure that exhibitors are meeting with attendees during certain parts, that exhibitors aren't meeting with other exhibitors. I think we can control that. And so if an attendee meets with an exhibitor in networking, the first one in each session wins a prize, and that'll get people in there and get people connecting with you, and you'll make more connections that way. Number 2 is the product showroom. We've talked about that a little bit. Have a showroom, have your product, mobile webcam, gimbal, good lighting. If it's a game, have people playing the game, right? Show people that people are having fun playing your game. You can demonstrate how it works. vArsenal did a great job of this during their product launch, and there's a video of that on our website of an interview that I did with Jeremy from vArsenal talking about how they set up their booth and how they demonstrated the product and how it went. So you got to have product demos. This is a trade show after all. Number 3, keynotes and panels. This is like a white paper or a press release or a case study that you might give away, which you can still do that for download. But it's even better at a virtual event because you can actually have a panel, invite your customers to come in and talk about your product in your booth and schedule that, right? Have a fireside chat, have a panel, run a Q&A, run an AMA, ask me anything, run sessions, program content in your booth. And what that is so the swag, this key number 1 is the top. That's about discovery, right? And connecting with people. But then there's this whole thing about consideration that you have to get people to go before they're ready to convert, right? So there's attract, consider, convert. That's the funnel we move people through. This middle section around keynotes and VIP events, which I'm going to talk about in a second, is about building affinity and getting people to like you and to believe in you and know that you're smart. So you've got keynotes and panels inside your booth. And then there's a VIP event. So Semnox and Creative Works both did great VIP events. After hours, they were private sessions that we helped them set up. Semnox was a wine tasting. And what they did is they partnered with Ross Halleck at Halleck Vineyards. They sent out bottles of wine to their best customers and prospects. And they had 20 people in a room for 2.5 hours one evening. And it was amazing because their prospects got to hang out with their customers. They didn't have to do any selling. And it brought together that connection, and their best prospects had an amazing time. Their customers felt rewarded. And so just because this is like taking people to dinner, right? I know you have big dinner budgets. You take people out to dinner and drinks, and you spend a fortune at a real trade show, entertaining clients and prospects. You can actually do that really effectively at a virtual event. If you want more information about that, drop me an email, bob@showup.events, and I will give you some clues, send you some links on how you can do that. And then lastly, I've talked about this digital retargeting, getting people to come to a virtual brochure rack, which is a landing page, by having a really powerful offer, and then dropping a pixel and a Facebook pixel and a Google tracking thing cookie on that website, so you can retarget and remarket them post-show for a month, right? Or 6 months or whatever, however you want the long you want those campaigns to go. So those are 5 keys to being successful at a virtual event. And I assure you, if you do all 5 of those, this will be by far, and I know the bar is probably low, really by far the most successful virtual event you've ever done. And I actually think you can get an amazing return on investment, both for your money and your time. And so this is available on our website. I put the link in the chat. Feel free to review it. If you have questions about it, let me know, and we'll work with you in it in one-on-ones. We'll probably have we'll have a bunch of those next week. And so yeah, I think that's it. Any other questions? I know we've gone way longer than I anticipated. So if you have any more questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'm going to end that screen share. Is there an equivalent of lead retrieval? Yeah, lead retrieval. Great question, Emmanuel. So we do track everybody. Welcome to the 21st century where all of our movements are tracked, right? We don't record private. We can't record your booth video. You have to do that, and you have to do that through a third party. So my recommendation is get a piece of software like I use ScreenFlow on a Mac, but there are other ones that you can use to record your on-screen video, so you capture this event, because you're going to get amazing social media clips out of this if you record it. We will be recording all the sessions both in the meeting rooms and on the main stage, and we do track everybody. But also, yeah, we have lead retrieval, which is basically we know everybody that came in your booth, and I believe that depending on which package you have, we deliver that to you. If you're sponsoring a session, if you're a sponsor of an education session, we're also going to give you a list of everybody that attended that session with their content information. The people that attend are opting into that. We do not give a list of all attendees to anyone, by the way. We've had a lot of people ask, and I know some shows do it, and I think it's a horrific practice because now all of a sudden what happens is attendees are getting spam. They don't want to hear from you if they didn't go to your booth. If they're interested in your product, they went to your booth, and we want attendees to hear from the people that they're interested in. So by going to your booth, they're really registering interest, and we're going to give you their contact information so you can reach out to them. But that doesn't give you the ability to retarget them online, and I'm telling you, retargeting is really powerful. So make sure you set up a virtual brochure rack. Great question. Any other questions you want to drop in the chat? Or anybody want to come on screen? And what's the expectation about the number of attendees buyers? Boy, Michael, I wish I had that answer. We are seeing ticket sales pick up, but I think we've got a couple of hundred already. And normally a week before the event is where you see 75% of the people register. Some of those are a lot of those actually just a few days before. We would love to have over 1,000 people in the event. I'm trying to manifest 2,000 to 3,000. It's really hard to cut through the noise. And so everything I know some of our attendees have done an amazing job getting the word out there. We have social sharing information for you. If you want to cut a quick video and get that out there on social media, we're really starting to promote our educational program right now. Hopefully you've seen those. That takes me to sharing is caring. I love the engagement we're getting on the social media stuff that we're putting out there. But the way the algorithms work is a share is worth 20 or 30 likes. A comment is worth 5 or 10 likes. So I need you to comment and share the things that you see about the show. Even if it's from another exhibitor, it's okay. We're all in this together. The more people we have come to show up, the better event it is for everyone. And if you share, the algorithm in the social media platform says this post is worth seeing for more people, and then they expand the audience for that post. And so organic reach is about sharing. And so please, I know it takes a little bit longer, but share it, drop a little comment in it when you do it, and that's really going to help us get the audience built. We're spending thousands of dollars on marketing. We've got great media partners with Blue Loop and Replay. By the way, Amusement RC, if you are an exhibitor in our show, they are prepared to do a free email blast and press release for you and your product. All you have to do is reply to Chris's email. And so far, out of 40 exhibitors, we've had 3 people take us up on that. Free marketing, nobody's doing it. What the fuck, people? And so get in touch with Chris and get your free email blast from Amusement RC. They have, I don't know how many it goes to, tens of thousands of people that goes to. And normally you would pay hundreds of dollars for that, and we're offering it for free. I think shooting specific day week, I think that as we get closer the week before, like if you want to use this week to get your schedule ready, if you have social media, and then get it out there next week. But the other problem with that is organic posts take time to build. And so there's also a sooner is better than later thing, because I still have posts from a month ago that are still getting seen because people are still liking them and sharing them. And so I think if it's organic, probably sooner is better than later because it has time for audience to build. Yeah, so just help me get the word out. I really appreciate it. You appreciate it. Your other exhibitors appreciate it. I think we all own building the audience for this show because it's a community, and I think it's going to be really good. And look, and the people that don't come are going to really kick themselves because the education program is going to be amazing. And we are not. People ask me all the time if it's available for replay, and my answer is no. We want people to show up, and that's for you. I want people to come and interact with you and engage with you because you're the people that are making this happen. And on a replay, there's very little value to you as an exhibitor. And so, we might have certain things that we show, some social media clips, and if you're sponsoring a panel, you'll get that recording and you can replay that if you want in a webinar for people who didn't come, and continue to use that for lead gen. But our intention is we're not going to be allowing this for replay at this point. I do reserve the right to change my mind on that if we come up with a strategy post-show as we do reflection with all of you, and and with us, and we think about how do we use this platform going forward, because we've invested a lot in it, and I'm not quite sure what it's going to become. But right now, we'll talk about that in February. So any other questions or comments? I think we'll, there's one other thing I do want to tell you about. It's in the document. It's called Speedify. It's an app that I'm using, and what it's doing, it's combining my iPad, my phone, my Wi-Fi, and my Ethernet connection into one bonded cellular connection that gives me internet redundancy and higher bandwidth. It's cheap. It's $80 for 3 years. It includes a VPN. Just fucking get it. It's a game changer. And the link is in that document I told you about that we posted in the chat, and it's posted in the lobby. Get Speedify, game changer. Obviously, if you have redundant T1 fiber in your building, maybe you don't need that. But if you travel or you move around a lot, or you're working from home like a lot of people are, Speedify is amazing. I'm going to drop into the trade show booth now. If you guys want to poke around, go to Speed Networking. I don't know if anybody will be there. It looks like we still have 22 people active in this room right now. I'm going to go to the expo hall. I'll be hanging out with Chris in the ShowUp info booth. If you guys have any questions, bring them to me there. I want to thank everybody for coming to this event and for learning. Gary, please discuss a bit more for attendee pay as you can. What's an average cost? Yeah, it's really interesting. Occasionally we have a $100 ticket trickle in. Really interesting. I had a student pay $35 and a CEO of a big company come for free, which I won't comment on any more than that. I think that the idea there was we were really investing a lot in this program, the education program, and we wanted to differentiate between all these other free events out there. And we also got a lot of emails from people saying, I just don't have any money, and I'm trying to decide what bill to pay this month. And so we were going to run like a scholarship program, but then I found people were a little shy about admitting that they didn't have any money because we all have money issues. And so I decided the pay-as-you-go thing was the easiest way to get around that. It was created in my mind by Radiohead with their In Rainbows album. I was working with Andre Lawless, you'll remember this, at eCast when they came out with that album. And it was basically right at the height of Napster and internet piracy and peer-to-peer networks. And they said, hey, just pay what you want. And it was the #1 selling album of all time, digital album of all time, and the highest revenue digital album of all time. And so I felt like it was just in this environment, it was the right way to do it. And we're a first-year event, and we're trying to make a name for ourselves in a very crowded market where shows have been going on for decades. And the pay-as-you-go model is a good way for a new entrant to come into a crowded market with endemic players, I've been told. So Greg Smith, will there be any type of quick use demo? By the way, Gary, after we're done, we will be sharing all of the analytics about this event like we did for the social platform. And that will include ticket sales, ticket pricing, who paid, like not who paid what, but what the average pricing was and what the distribution model of that pricing is. It's too early for me to publish that information because most of the ticket sales are yet to come, but we will be sharing that. What?
And we're cutting it off at a point.
We are going to be cutting off the pay what you want model on the Friday before the event. And we are going to go to a paid model starting Saturday. And it'll be $150 for the 3 days. And then each day we'll reduce that by $50. So day 2, it'll be $100, and day 1, it'll be $50 for the last day, because some people do show up the day of the event. But so make sure that people don't wait until the day of the event or the day before the event to register, because it's going to cost them $150. Greg Smith is asking, will there be any type of quick use demo for attendees joining a virtual conference for the first time? Yeah, we'll be doing some videos to help people understand. There will also be an instruction booth with tips and tricks. We have some of those already on our YouTube channel. And once we get the registrations coming in the week before, we'll be starting to send out instructions with tips and tricks. And we'll have an instruction booth with videos queued up for people to watch. And we'll have a help booth where people can come and get live help. But one of the things we found in running the social crawl was that people figured it out. Like we had 400 people, and we had very little going on in the info booth, and a couple of people had some issues with their browser. and a refresh and a reboot fixed it. And so we are finding that it's, and we're keeping the agenda simple for that reason too. We're trying not to give people too many choices at one time. And so I think that'll make a difference, but we'll definitely be doing everything we can to kind of, we were going to build a whole first-time user experience around this, and we found after the social crawl that it was overkill. We didn't need it, and so we'll just make sure we give people good instructions. Great question, Greg. I love you all. Thank you so much.